My name's Eric Smith. Hi, CEO of Redwood Media Group. And I have a wonderful panel here today to discuss 60 tips in 60 minutes. So we put this together about 10 years ago, and it was very popular. We've updated it a little bit, but it's really supposed to move rather quickly. There's another microphone back here that Bill has, and I don't mind anybody interrupting through the seminar to ask questions, but we're going to spend less than a minute on each topic, so it just rolls along. If you have any questions at the end, you can hold them till the end if you want, but if there's something that you want to answer right away, we'll stop, give you a microphone, you can ask a question, and our distinguished panel here will answer it. So first we're going to start with Jay at the end, and I want each of you to take 10 seconds and give them your name and where you're from.
My name's Jay Landrum. I'm based out of the Bay Area, California. I'm an art lawyer as one of my niche practices.
Jay's our attorney for Redwood Media Group.
That too.
So, yeah.
I'm Jennifer Harlan. I am with Larson Jewell. We are a picture frame manufacturer, and I'm based in Charleston, South Carolina.
Michael Joseph from Art Blend Incorporated. We are a full-service art company located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We have a 6,200 square foot brick and mortar art gallery. We publish a fine art magazine and participate at the Redwood Media Group art fairs.
Hi, I'm Poppy Simpson. I'm head of curation at Mural. You might have seen them. They're Wi-Fi connected digital canvases that are around the booth, around the whole show. This is Vlad, who I work with.
Yeah, my name is Vlad. I am the CEO of Mural. Our mission is to make art a part of people's daily lives, and we're doing that through digital technology, and we're very happy to be here.
Okay, so a lot of these 60 tips in 60 minutes were really designed for gallery owners, although kind of think bigger than that. I mean, you can use these tips in a way to run your studios or publishing houses or your art fairs that you do around the country, and just kind of think of it that way. So the first one is mine. Vacuum every morning. I started working for Martin Lawrence Galleries in the mid-'80s, and I worked for a guy named Barry Chuckerman, who I'm still friends with today. He runs the San Francisco gallery for Martin Lawrence. And one of the first things he taught me as a young consultant in the gallery was, I want you to put some lines in the carpet every day. And I said, why? And he said, so the place looks fresh when people walk in the morning. I thought, that's actually pretty bright. That's a good, no dust on the carpet, no things sitting around from the night before. I got here to the show this morning at 10 o'clock because we had a big party last night. There were lots of people. They were running around in the VIP lounge and all over the show. And there were glasses everywhere, right, when we left. So I made sure that I got here early so we could, luckily everybody had cleaned up and I didn't have to do anything. But you get the idea, keep your place clean. Next one is Jennifer.
Okay, so mine is dress appropriately, and that can be different depending on what your gallery or frame shop is. Can you hear me?
Yeah, lean forward.
Okay, how about that? Is that
Yep.
better? Okay, so dress appropriately, and that is different for everybody depending on your gallery, the style of your gallery, your style. But whatever it is, you need to make sure that you're dressing professionally. Your guests, your clients should feel comfortable when they are around you and when they're in your space. And if you have a staff, make sure that whatever your dress code is, you have it in writing so that your staff is dressing in a manner that's in keeping with your aesthetic and with your space.
Very good.
All right, next tip. Make use of signage and your location appropriately. Most people miss when they walk into a gallery or into a space. So signage, what we found, is generally used to guide the client through an experience, whether that's signage that is on the outside of the location or it's signage that directs you through the location. But it's very important that the experience is built around a very simple but obvious user interface, a live experience.
Yeah, generally you have 4 to 6 seconds to capture somebody's attention. So, 60 minutes and 60 tips in 60 minutes, topics and trends. You know where you are. It's the educational seminar. You know what we're talking about. So you got to think about, what you're putting up on your walls or in your galleries or studios or whatever. Next is Poppy.
Hello. Change your window display. So every morning we work here in Soho, downtown, and every morning I walk through Soho and I walk past a number of different galleries. And it's amazing how many of them do not do this. It's amazing how it will stay the same image for a long time. And when it changes, it's only then that I realize the diversity of their collection. And I find the galleries and the spaces that I'm drawn to, and this is in retail as well, the most are ones where there are thoughtful, interesting, and window displays that tell a story, that speak to your aesthetic and promote the relevant story you're telling at on any given day.
Jay.
Next is pay attention to HR issues and coach your staff. The best HR is HR that's preventative. It includes communicating very clear policies to your employees, establishing very clear guidelines on how they can file grievances, just making it crystal clear as to what you expect from them. Also, even if you're a small company, a couple of employees, you should have a handbook in place, an employee handbook, and your employees should be signing that to verify that they've received it, because that's going to be the Bible for walking them through what your expectations of them are.
Probably the most obvious, but sometimes understated, is constantly introducing new art. I think that speaks for itself on a lot of level and echoes a lot of what the panel has already addressed. So here at our gallery, we have a destination location. Our clients are coming in looking for art, and I'm constantly introducing them to new art, whether it's physically in the gallery, taking them online, viewing something on the internet. Don't be afraid to try something new, show them something new, keep it alive, keep it fresh.
Very good. Mine is rehang every 2 weeks. I had 20 galleries, 105 salespeople from Colorado to Hawaii, and they were required to rehang the gallery every 2 weeks. It's a gargantuan effort. We were hanging about 50 to 60 pieces in each of the galleries, but it made it very interesting when their clients would return. For those of you that are artists, shuffle your inventory around. Don't always show the same thing. Try to keep the same theme, paint the same thing, create your own brand, but mix it up a little bit. Next is Poppy again.
So I think building on that, my tip is strike the right balance of art on your walls. You only need to walk around this show to see the enormous diversity of art that people are drawn to. And the well-used term gallery wall now for interiors, there's a reason for that, right? Because you're talking about speaking to a real breadth of audiences when someone comes into your space, and being able for them to easily find something that speaks to them immediately. You might be able to take them on a journey through to other pieces, but it's about having that right balance, and also making sure it looks good together. Be that through color, be that through genre, be that however you want to kind of curatorially organize that.
Vlad?
All right, this is kind of in the same vein, but rotate your inventory. People want to see new things on a consistent basis, particularly the millennial generation has very short attention spans. They don't necessarily appreciate looking at the same thing over and over again on multiple visits. So rotating inventory, making sure that new artwork is visible and is explicitly tagged or the signage shows that it is new is quite key, because people tend to gravitate to something that is new.
Very good.
The next topic is certificates of authenticity. You should know that in limited edition sales, they're required within about a dozen states in the country, and your failure to use them can be pretty significant. So you need to make sure you have certificates for all limited edition sales. They have to have required language in them. And you should really look at certificates not as a legal obligation you've got to check the box on, but something that you can use as a marketing tool. So while they're required for limited editions, you should also look at possibly using them for your originals and even for your open edition if you have open edition. Collectors really value those. It is a bit of a complicated aspect of the industry, and I have a book that I prepared. It's up here. You can grab it for free. It's on artist and art law, and there's a chapter in there on certificates of authenticity. You can read that. You can understand what the requirements are. And actually, if you go to the very back, there's a link to a sample certificate. So no excuses for not having it.
And along that line, certificates of authenticity are really for insurance purposes. So, you sell a piece for $2,500. If your prices start going up, say the next piece you sell is $3,500, the guy who bought it for $25, send him a new certificate. He all of a sudden realizes that his piece is now valued at $3,500. He might come back and buy some more pieces. Jennifer?
So my tip is on using a viewing room, how to take the art off the wall when your client is looking at something and bring it into the viewing room. It can make a big difference in your sales. It allows for privacy with your customer. It helps your customer feel comfortable. It gives them a quiet space to consider where they're going to hang the art, whether it might fight with or complement art that they already own. It allows you to, if they're choosing between two images, it allows you to hang those two images side by side in a space that eliminates the noise. And by noise, I mean other artwork that's around it that might be distracting your customer from what they're looking at. And it eliminates actual noise from other customers being in the gallery. It allows you to talk about financing if you're going to talk about financing with a customer in a private space. It also allows you to adjust the lighting on the artwork so that it looks the way that it should look. Just the act of physically moving a piece of art to another space and working for your customer shows your client that you're actually you care about what that client is trying to imagine when they're looking at the artwork. It's just the physical act of moving it that means that you're going that one step above for your customer.
And make sure you ask them to buy it once you get it in the viewing room. Michael, we're going to skip. Go right ahead.
To speaking tag to what Jennifer just said about lighting, I was a former lighting designer in the music industry, and it's appropriate tip for coming from me. And even coming into the art fair this morning, I'm an exhibitor here, and for the last 2 days, I've been still working and tweaking my lighting. The guys that work with me think I'm obsessed, but I cannot emphasize. I am obsessed. Thank you, Eric, and I appreciate you vacuuming this morning. That made me so happy when I got here. Really. So these tips they're incredibly valuable to me. Like I said, I'm immersed in the industry, and I was up and coming artist, and a lot of these tips still play into the company that we have today because I relate to the artist, I relate to the gallery owner, the business, but lighting is so key. To everything that we've been speaking about, if the art has to show well, it has to be bright, to be seen, they have to visualize it. I've gone to the point where we've moved art in the gallery when I'm showing a client because the light is that much better or stronger. So if you're going to invest in anything in your environment, invest in good art and good lighting. Yeah.
That was a Freudian slip.
Right.
Okay, so as many of you know, conversations often start or end in the office, in your office, in the gallery, or wherever you may be doing business. And that office is often an afterthought. It's decorated, it's lighted in a way that is not necessarily congruent to what the actual gallery experience is like. And it shouldn't be like that. It's important to put a piece or two or multiple pieces in the office, and it's important to stage the office as something that will have that will continue the experience that the customer and the client is having in the gallery as well. So the office is often where finances are discussed, where big decisions are made. You want those big decisions, those conversations to take place in a place that is equally as welcoming and equally as vibrant as the rest of the gallery or the rest of the public space.
All right, Jay.
Next topic.
This could be an hour-long conversation, so keep it short.
Yeah, the next topic is whether you are incorporated or not. And the bottom line is if you are not, you really should evaluate whether or not you should be. Most of the time, the answer is yes, you should be. There are different vehicles you can do that within. You can be a limited liability company. You can be a corporation. But the point of these entities is they provide a limited liability framework for you to run your business, meaning that if you happen to get sued, someone will be stopped at the point of going after your corporate assets and not be able to go after your personal assets. It's a very important, you can look at it as another form of insurance. It's an important thing to have in place, and you shouldn't disregard it, especially if you're the type of business that has the public coming on the premises, because one slip and fall and then you lose your house. So something to consider.
Poppy?
Obvious, but still worth stating. Create a welcoming environment. Offer wine or coffee. If it's me, definitely wine. After 12, of course, but then I'm good. I mean, that's really the first step in, buying art is an experience, and your customers, if it's a first sale, that's the beginning of a relationship, and that's how you should be thinking about it. And that relationship is going to develop through not just sales, but consistent moments of interaction. They need to feel like they're part of a club. They're getting enriched experience. And I think tips will come up later on, but that will include access to artists, that will include follow-up notes, all those kinds of things. So just the welcoming environment is that first step in that longer, deeper relationship.
Well done. Who's next? Oh, me. Consider functional art, furniture, or gift items. If you're in art, well, when we were in art galleries, we had a museum shop in the front, which was maybe 15 feet wide, 10 feet high, and we had glass and vases and things like that people could purchase for birthday gifts. Instead of a $5,000 painting, they might buy a $400 piece of glass. And that's great if you have a gallery. If you're an artist, I remember a long time ago, there's a really great sculptress, Sylvia Chait, who creates these big pieces of bronze sculpture. But she did these little hearts, and it said, "Treat others as you would like to be treated." She gave me one. It sits in my bathroom today, and every day I look at it, I think of Sylvia Chait. So if you're an artist, create something small. If somebody doesn't buy something, give it to them. They're going to think of you every time they look at it. Next.
Anchoring, good tip, right? Don't make assumptions about the taste and the art preferences of your gallery's demographic. This is definitely something I can speak to. I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It was probably 10 years ago the most unlikely place that my wife and I would decide to open up a retail location. We figured the big metropolitan cities like New York, LA, Chicago, Houston were thriving art markets, and great. The only thing people are going to want from us are palm trees and oceanscapes, right? And nodding our heads up here. But ironically enough, I couldn't believe, and a lot of the artists that asked me today, and I sell so much abstract art, it's beside me that. So we don't underestimate our client base or our demographic, because those other subjects are the things that I sell the least of. A lot of contemporary designed homes today in South Florida, and we're bringing a lot of art in from other parts of the country and other parts of the world. Definitely three-dimensional and sculpture. Don't ever underestimate that when it comes to putting the art in your gallery space.
Very good. Poppy?
Sell art you're excited about. So at Mural, because it's a Wi-Fi connected device and it's about rotating that imagery constantly, we have over 7,000 images currently in our gallery. And that spans everything from classic art to conceptual. You're going to find everything from Van Gogh to native digital art. And my personal taste is irrelevant in that exercise. But what I always teach my team is find something interesting in whatever you are curating. Whatever you're putting together, whether it's an art historical perspective, whether it's purely looking at line or form, whether it's color, find what's interesting, and that's your basis for selling it. And it's selling in the broadest sense, selling it, making a sale, but also selling it as an experience and something to be enjoyed.
Yeah, do some role playing with yourself. If you're an artist, if you're a gallery owner, go in and look at a piece and tell yourself why you like it. You'll sell it. Jay?
I'm going to jump ahead because you skipped me
Oh,
ahead of Jay.
Jennifer?
So my tip is on offering a variety of price points for different income levels. And by that, I do not mean offering something for every single income level or every single taste. It's almost impossible to do that. So I think what you need to do is decide who you want your target audience to be and think about where you are and who is coming into your gallery or your frame shop. And if you're in a tourist location, then you might want to have a broader variety. If you're selling to a local clientele, you may be able to offer more of a niche. But I don't think that you need to offer something for everyone.
I just gonna jump in out of line, but you can't be everything to everyone, right? So as a dealer and as an artist, yeah, just deal from the heart.
Jay?
So the next tip is tell the story behind the art.
Big
And
tip.
Yeah, this seems like it should be obvious to most, but I can't tell you how many people do not do it. You've got someone in your gallery, they're interested in some art. You want something to say to them besides walking up and saying, "Oh, is this the one you like?" So you want to be able to tell a story about the art that really engages them in a conversation. And the other thing to keep in mind on this is you need to recognize when you tell that story to them, once they buy that work and they bring it home and they hang it up, that's the story they are now telling all of their friends that come over.
For sure.
So it's something that really emotionally tethers them to that artwork. So it's a big one. You can't, overlooking it is a huge error.
If you don't have a story, make it up. Michael?
Yeah, well, that segued right to me. This is something that is very key in our company, and I do it whenever chance I can. I offer it whenever I can. Get artwork in the client's home at your cost, no question. I mean, whether shipping it there, delivering it, having it brought in, or even, trying the art out in the environment is so key. I have a 90-something% rate going in our company. I love to do it. My team challenges me at it. We make an interest of it, that how well we can perform.
What's the most pieces you ever sold when you delivered it to somebody's
I'm 9 out of 10 every time.
What's the most pieces?
I think I might have done one client that wanted one piece. I loaded up the van. I brought 25 pieces, and I think I sold 11.
We sold 17.
17? Oh, yeah.
One van full.
That's why I'm here and you're there, Eric.
No, that's not true.
Set you up for that.
Good job.
But yeah, get that art. Bring it.
That's
Right?
right.
Always make the delivery, man. And I just want to add to the story that Jay's talking about. Sometimes the story can just be something I learned from a mentor years and years and years ago. It can be the simplest thing. People always ask me, or it comes up, "Oh, where are you from? Where are you from? Where were you born?" And everybody has the tendency to always say the name of the big city. "Oh, I'm from New York. I'm from Boston. Whatever." You know what? I learned a long time ago. Just say the truth. I'm from a small town in Connecticut. I always say that, and you never know the connection you're going to make. I made a connection with an individual just because I told them where I was from, and the chances of that being that they were from a town next door from me made the relationship, and it was the tension was cut. We bonded, and we sold a lot of art. So
Good job.
Little things work.
Jennifer?
Where are you from?
Southington, Connecticut.
I'm from Ridgefield. So my tip is don't devalue your artwork by discounting it. Price your art fairly. Be confident in the price. Be confident in its value. And do not be afraid to state the price and assume the sale. I've been in galleries. I've been in frame shops. I've seen people working with a client, and when they go to say the price, they say, "That's going to be $450 for the frame," and they make that face. We actually at Larson Jewell do a workshop with our frame shops and galleries where we teach our customers, our frame shops, how to not be afraid to state a price which is fair for the labor that you're putting into it, for the love that the artist put into the artwork, and not offer a discount unnecessarily. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a gallery where they've said, well, it's $450, but I can give it to you for $400. If the client hasn't asked for that, there's absolutely no reason to do that. Do not sell from your own pocket. What may be expensive to you may not be expensive to your client. We did a little experiment with a gallery who our sales rep every year, every month when he went to see him said, Jack, are you still discounting? And Jack would sheepishly say, yes. So he finally talked Jack into not discounting 1 December. Just give me the month. Do not offer a discount under any circumstances and tell me what happens. And we went in there together in January, and he took out his ledger from the past 15 years, and his sales in December tripled over the previous December. And we said, did you have anybody complain or ask for a discount? And he said, no, not one.
So he went back to all the other people over the 15 years and got the money back, right?
So picking up on Jennifer's point, my next tip is offer financing to clients. That's one way you can avoid these conversations about the price is to offer a way that they can pay that over some period of time. You'll find that collectors will pay more for a piece if they don't have to write the check all at once. So consider, there are lots of companies out there that will have credit cards or some other kind of financing that you can offer. So
Yeah, or
investigate those.
you can finance it on your own.
Right.
I mean, you got a $4,000 piece of art, and you say to the guy, I know you want it. Can you afford it all right now? And you say, no. Can you afford $2,000? Yeah. Okay. Can you pay me the other $2,000 over the next 6
Yeah.
months? I mean, be creative. Especially if you're an artist, right? If you're a gallery owner, you got the trust factor there. So, Poppy.
Hire sales staff adept at engaging clients. It's about being able to tell that story that everyone's been talking about, but it's also about being able to close a sale. That might not be the first time they see a piece of art, but it's going to be in those first sort of 3 to 5 interactions. So it's about being able to tell the story and it not feeling like a sales pitch. So that's going to lead actually onto Vlad's next point.
Always be training these people. It's very important that to understand that no one is perfect and no one is going to come in and be ready to execute fully and completely. So what we do at Mural and what we preach to our partners as well is watch and adjust people as they're doing it. So make sure that you are seeing them in the process as they're interacting with customers and clients. And then once they're completed with that, do a debrief. What we found is debriefs after an interaction or after a day of interactions really connects a particular action or a particular bit of feedback to what has happened and what is real. And what we found is that the more you engage the staff and are constantly training them, the easier it becomes. And the more receptive they become to feedback on an ongoing basis.
Just to jump in there, one of the things that we also do is we get our staff members to take on roles that aren't their own. So I sometimes ask our sales staff to curate for us, curate a collection for us, change the gallery wall in our office, really get them engaged in every different part of the business so that they have a much more holistic approach to the way that they're speaking about the product.
Always be closing. How do you do that? Would you like me to wrap it up for you now? Would you like to pay cash or with a credit card? Would you like me to deliver it? Do you have transportation? Can you get it home? Ask those types of questions and always try to be closing the deal. Michael?
Well, that's why I'm 11 and he's 17. Be service-oriented rather than price-oriented. And I just back that up with, I said earlier in the introduction, I'm a full-service art company. And I learned that from my wife that is business-minded, that there's plenty of other things that we can do that are incentives to our clients other than getting locked in and narrow-minded and losing the sale over a fixed price. I'm not to contradict what Jennifer said. Yeah, I mean, there's a time for a discount, time for not one, but absolutely, there's other things that you can do to in that service to win over your customers.
Very good. Jay?
So the next point is treat all your customers equally well, no matter what price point they invest in. The story I have that really captures this is back in the mid-'90s, I started representing Thomas Kinkade, and I was going somewhere to meet him, and he happened to be painting the street of this location he was at, and there was a gallery down the street. And I was a minute or two into introducing myself and meeting him, and one of the gallery people came over with a woman and said, "Hey, Tom, I just want to introduce you to Sally, and Sally just bought Sweetheart's Cottage as a paper print." Back then, this was the cheapest thing you could buy. It was $100, $150 print. At that moment, I completely ceased to exist to Tom, and he walked over to the woman and he said, "Oh, let me tell you about that print. It was a rainy night," and he went on to tell this whole story about this print. And I was standing back there looking at this whole thing going on and thinking, this woman is a collector for life. She will buy a dozen more Thomas Kinkades after this experience. And you can't underestimate the power of establishing those relationships with people because they are not only future buyers, but they're also future referrers to other people that might buy. So don't ignore them.
Very good. Jennifer?
Actually, that's a good segue into mine. So my tip is move outside your comfort zone. And one of those things would be asking for referrals. People are not always comfortable doing that. But if you have a client that loves what you're doing, loves your artwork, loves the way you framed it, ask them if they know anybody that is redoing their home, redoing their office. If they know anybody that is a designer that they might refer to you. Don't be afraid to ask for that. Another thing you could do is offer your gallery space to host local meetings or to coordinate with other businesses. Network. Not everybody's comfortable with that. There's a lot of introverts in our industry, but try to network as much as possible. Go out and meet architects and designers. Cross-promote with local businesses, with area restaurants or caterers, that kind of thing. Use social media. Not everybody is comfortable with social media, and if you're not, that's okay. Go talk to a millennial. They're all comfortable with it. Hire an intern or ask an 8-year-old to help you. Do in-home showings. That's the other one that Eric brought up. So if you're not already doing that, that is so incredibly valuable, and you can now sell 11 or 17 pieces instead of one.
That's right. Poppy?
I spend a very delightful 30 to 40 minutes every morning reading a diversity of art press, and I know what's going on in the museum and auction worlds, and that's really important. When you're selling an experience, when you're building relationships with clients, art is often, I've said this already, but it needs to feel like a sort of members club almost, and to be able to speak about these contemporary exhibitions, to be able to know what's selling at Christie's, at Sotheby's, at Phillips, and in smaller auction houses, it's really important. I also take my team once a month to different exhibitions here in New York City, so make sure you also have a global view on that. It's not just about New York, it's not just about LA. There are a huge number of interesting things happening all around the country.
Very good. Jay?
So the next tip is know whether your artists have licensed product and which ones sell well, and supplement your inventory with those products. There's a couple of reasons to do this. The first is obviously there are potentially incremental sales from those things. So they buy a print and maybe they buy some of the ancillary products too. And the other thing is that even if they don't step up to buy a bigger piece, they will sometimes buy a smaller thing, and it'll be a gateway to a better product later. So they may buy the calendar this year, but next year they'll buy the print. The other aspect of this is when a licensee or when an artist is licensed and you have that other product there, there's some level of validation there where when the collector sees that he's on multiple products by these other companies, it kind of reinforces the idea that, okay, this artist must be successful if he's on all this other stuff.
Very good. I traded places with Vlad because the light was bothering me, and I said, I got to sit down for a minute.
It's all right.
I feel better now.
Thanks for taking one for the team, Vlad.
Yeah.
You know now you got to perform at 18.
The next tip is know what's going on in the art show world. We just kind of reviewed that, so we'll skip to the next one. Michael?
Staying on top of home decor and trends, but Eric had said that, attending industry events, coming out to a show like this today. I do a lot of that. I think that it's very, very important. I am constantly checking in with the Association of Interior Designers, see what's going on, see what their clients are requesting. What was in today is out tomorrow. There's a lot of great facilities and events to go to. I like the Dakota building, the World Market. Super important to kind of just, keep your finger on the pulse, because it's constantly beating and moving and changing. But to stay alive, we have to change.
Yeah. All right. My tip is watch what successful businesses are doing outside of the art world. For Mural, that's relatively easy because we're in the technology space, we're in the art space, and we are in the design realm as well. But it's very important for everyone to have that perspective. Art is such an integral part of our culture that looking at what's happening at other successful companies, trends that are emerging, will lead to better understanding of the general psyche of clients and also the general awareness of our culture and where it's headed and where it's going and where it's been. And I think that particularly in the realm of technology these days, art and technology is continuing to be intertwined in many different ways, with mobile technology, with augmented reality, virtual reality. All these things have a very, very direct and important impact on the art world and how art is brought to people and how art is consumed. So always get out of the bubble and be aware of what successful businesses are doing beyond.
So I'm going to take a second to plug my friend Jennifer, who's going to be speaking here at 2:30, just to go back to staying on top of trends. Her presentation is all about macro trends, and it's incredibly insightful. So if you're around at 2:30, please stop and see that. My tip, however, is to use your downtime wisely. Downtime is golden. Do not use your downtime to mope that you don't have anybody coming into your shop. Use it to clean your windows, to vacuum, to re-merchandise your store, to send thank you notes to your customers, handwritten thank you notes, to pick up the phone and call a customer and say, hey, we installed this piece a couple of weeks ago. How do you like it? Is it exactly where you want it? Do you want me to come back and rehang it for you in another place? How's the lighting? Can I adjust that for you? Take this time to post on social media and keep your windows clean. Draft a press release. There's so many things you can do with downtime. I could go on and on, but I won't.
The next one is get prepared now for what you think lies ahead. My company, Redwood Media Group, we have 7 shows, and every Monday we have a staff call. And we get through the staff call, and then I start bringing up things that are going to happen 6 months to a year ahead, and everybody's like, what? But that's my job. I'm looking at it from a 20,000-foot level. And you got to do that in your own businesses, too. Think about 6, 12, 18 months ahead and where you want to be. Envision it, visualize it, and make it happen. Michael?
Yes, evaluating your marketing plan. So I've been fortunate enough to have married a CFO. And nothing's better for me because I horribly manage money, and I go off on a whimsical kind of, at the moment, cue. But marketing plan is essential. I said yesterday in my seminar earlier, life can be like a pinball game where early on in my life, I was just flapping the buttons and watching the lights blink and colors flashing by. But strategically, you can really move yourself ahead and advance your career and advance your company when you have a strategic and targeted plan to hit those bumpers, hit those targets that add up in the tally and the score and increase your bottom line. The CFO and the CEO will be mutually happy with you. Everything will be great. So, keep evaluating. I actually call Eric and Rick in the middle of summer every year when I think my business is going to collapse and fold and I got nothing going. Right, Eric?
Yeah.
So, some encouragement and some evaluation absolutely helps.
The next tip is kind of in keeping with Eric's ABC, always be closing. I'd say it's ABN, always be networking. Don't be out of sight. Don't be out of mind. Find community groups you can get involved in. It's all about finding ways to establish relationships that are not directly tied to your sales efforts. So you get out there, meet people, and get them connected to you and your business in a way when you're not in the middle of doing a sales pitch.
And building on that, make more contacts. Every artist that I bring onto the Mural platform, I ask them to suggest between 1 and 5 other artists that they think might like to work with us. Every person who I interact with who buys a frame or is a collector of digital art of sorts, I encourage them to refer, like Jennifer was speaking about earlier on. And it's also about events. Growing up, my father, who is a big lover of art, went to all the student shows. He bought a piece by the student artist that he liked, and for the rest of their career, he got amazing deals as they went on to be successful artists. He had dinners for them. He brought them around. He met more artists. He really, I'm looking at it from a slightly different vantage point, not the gallery owner, but you see where I'm going. And we're at 41 minutes, so Vlad.
Host exciting events. Nice. Yeah, I think it's easy to have an event that is kind of traditional and standard. What we've seen is things that are a little bit atypical often lead to new and interesting outcomes and new and interesting opportunities. So if you're a gallery owner, maybe you should open up your gallery to a local school or a local startup community or the local real estate group. What we've seen is bringing in new people into your space, whether that's your home or whether that's your gallery or anywhere in between, the studio, leads to new and interesting connections, and having events that are maybe not what is expected is something that gets people to come in and just out of curiosity become members in your community.
And dovetailing on that, make your event, be creative when you have an event. Don't always do the same thing over and over again. Maybe have an artist painting in the gallery during an event. Maybe do a co-event with a musician, a local musician. So building on what Jay said, always stay involved in your community. Cross-promote with other local businesses. Maybe offer a painting class or an educational class on why you would want to do custom framing. We have a gallery here in the city, Manhattan Frame and Art, who did an event called Mirrors of Possibility, and it was nothing but mirrors. But she took antique frames and paired them with contemporary frames from Larson Jewell, of course. And it made for just a really interesting exhibit, and it was just mirrors, but it got the conversation going because of the theme of the event was Mirrors of Possibility, mirrors into your soul kind of thing, and so it got people talking. Another thing to do would be to maybe juxtapose artwork that you might not necessarily see together, but that can go together if you pair it correctly.
Okay, we're going to skip number 43 because Vlad did it for Michael. Number 44, know your best collectors and invite them to previews of shows. So who can tell me right now, who's the easiest person to sell a piece of art to? Anybody?
Your mom.
Somebody who's already bought a piece of art from you. So anybody who's already bought from you, number one person, that's your target. I don't mean your target, but that's your best collector. And people like to collect more than one piece from you. So think about that. If you have a show, invite your best collectors in first. They're going to buy a couple pieces. You're going to put a red dot on the wall. And as the other people come into the show, they have permission to buy because they've already seen a red dot. People have already started buying. I better pick up one too. Next.
Next is have a dinner for your top collectors and an artist that they collect. And so this is by having an artist that can go to dinner with them and join them, and they can get to know that artist and establish a personal relationship, they're more likely to continue to buy more art of that artist. And you can also throw that open to a couple of other top collectors that do not know that artist, because they, by knowing that artist, they may become collectors themselves. Getting that personal relationship going with the artist is really the key.
Educate your clients and your collectors. That's everything from what was spoken about earlier on price. Send them those updated certificates of authentication. On trends. Oh, look, I noticed that a piece that I sold you, there's a similar trend going on in interiors or in a show that's on at the moment. And also really just in terms of not educate them on their taste, but encourage them to discover. So take what they like, what they've bought, and think about how you can get them to the next piece, because as Eric said, they're your best buyers.
Cultivate young collectors. Young people generally don't have money, but they might in the future. So you want to get to know them early on. Well, what I've seen artists do is do kind of behind-the-scenes shows or sneak peek previews, or even teaching a workshop to young collectors around the artistic process. All these things provide value in the short term to them, but there might be value that is returned over time. And as Poppy said, those relationships built early last a very long time.
Next tip is get your contact information from the people you meet. If you've met them, they're a potential resource for you, either as a collector or as a referral partner. So get their names, invite them to be on your mailing lists. Consider doing things like a contest where put your name in, to get on our mailing list, and somebody wins a prize. People love to win stuff, but find a way to collect that information, because that contact list that you have is one of the most valuable assets you've got in your business.
Very true. Okay, final 10. Here we go. Jennifer?
Monitor your local real estate lists for potential new clients. People moving into a new home are a blank canvas. They are tired of what they've had for a long time, which is why they're moving into a new home. So take advantage of that. Invite them to come to your gallery and try to get into their home with a home show. I keep coming back to that, but it's so important to get into your client's home. It turns you into a trusted advisor. Mm-hmm. They start to look for you for other decorating tips and more artwork in the future.
Showing appreciation to your clients. One of the things that's a underlying theme to everything that we're doing is that we are building relationships. So don't be short-sighted in thinking about just the one-time sale. Everything that's been said here is for the future. So our appreciation for our clients can be a variety of things that we can do. It doesn't have to be deep out of your pockets. Just something like a simple thank you note in the mail, box of chocolates, whatever it may be. But they remember that, and it goes a long way. So that's the big tip there.
Have your artist send special notes after someone purchases a piece. It's about that personal connection. They might put it in their bathroom, see it every day, and think of you. In fact, when I closed on my home, my mortgage broker sent me a wine bottle opener. I open a lot of wine, and I think about him more often than I should.
It's so true, though. And if you do send a card to somebody, have them tape it to the back of the piece, and then when they have people over, they pull it out. Makes a big difference. I lost my place. Who's next?
You are.
It's you.
Oh, me.
Update your website.
53.
You're updating your website.
Oh, yeah, update your website. Vlad?
All right. Not just update your website, but make your website interactive. Make it a three-dimensional or fourth-dimensional experience. So it's very easy these days to create a short video, or to post an update, or to take some photos at an event like this. No longer is it enough for a client to just like the art. They want to like and experience who the artist is. And having a website that tells this story and continues to bring people into your world as an artist or a gallery owner is really, really key. And it's almost by default expected at this point. People want that behind-the-scenes experience, and a website is a great place to tell that story.
So the next tip is use social media. We've talked about this already, so I'll just give a couple of points on it, which are, if they're friends on your Facebook page or they're following you, they're already a good contact for you. So don't ignore that, and consider using it as not just an information resource in terms of how to get out your latest release, but also as a way to possibly have contests or or conduct an art auction, or there are a lot of resources that you can actually use it as another selling vehicle.
Okay, we're going to finish with 3, and I'm going to pick them. Jennifer, number 61.
Okay, consider custom framing. Thank you, Eric. I'm glad you asked about that. Custom framing, as opposed to a ready-made frame, can really elevate your artwork. It sort of finishes the piece. There's been studies done where customers are asked why they bring something in to be framed. 55% of those asked said that they bring their artwork in to be preserved and protected. And 37% said that they bring it in because it's special and they want to frame it and finish it out. So 92% of the people basically are saying they want to preserve and protect their artwork, and custom framing will do that.
Very good. Jay, number 62.
Yeah, this is set goals. Now, the important part on this is there was a study done recently where they surveyed kids that went into Harvard, and they asked if they had a business plan. Mm-hmm. They tracked them 10 years after they got out of Harvard. And the kids that did not have a plan going in, that was probably about 90% maybe. Another 7% had a plan, but they didn't put it in writing. And then 3% had a plan, and it was in writing. And they followed these people into the future, and the 3% that had a plan and they had it in writing had about 95% of the total income of that group. So the key here is it's important to set goals. Everybody knows that. It's important to evaluate those goals on an ongoing basis, but it's also important to put them in writing so that you're really internalizing it.
And the last one is be patient and never give up. You have a passion for art, and you should continue that passion, and it'll all happen for you. And I'm going to end with thanking Vlad for standing up and allowing me to sit down.
It's all right.
And Poppy and Michael and Jennifer and Jay, and let's give them a big round of applause.